Um, Hello everyone, welcome to this webinar. Just to make sure, Ian, can you hear us?
I can hear everybody fine.
Perfect. Okay, that's what we need to do. So we're doing this webinar specifically to help you with some questions that you may have for migration upgrading scenarios. Just a quick introduction on who is here. And it's not running, the video, the PowerPoint's not running. Yeah, there we go. My name is Sandra van Leeuwen. I'm responsible for marketing and I am hosting this webinar, and I'm going to see how we're going to get some questions answered for you. With me are the experts from the Fenestre Global Service Center. Adrian and Fenton have been announced in the invites, but we are also lucky to have Ian with us, and he is attending from the US. So yeah, we're going to make that work as well. We keep your microphones muted during the webinar, and we will keep them muted when we're presenting. I will facilitate the questions, and we've received some questions from you, and we've added a few questions that we've had experience with from the Global Service Center team. And at the end of each session, we'll check for any questions that you may have in addition, so you can use the control panel to add any additional things you would like to know, or if you would like us to elaborate on something, and we'll pick up the questions at the end. And if we need to, we can always open up the microphones at that point as well. So let's see how it will all go. So just as a quick reminder, we launched the Faxination 2016 release more than a year ago, and we've introduced not only some new functionality, so the connectors, but also a new way of dealing with documents, and the updated system capabilities to meet basically digitization needs with a complete software platform that can cover all kind of documents and integrate them with your back office. We've seen many of our customers already migrating to this release, which we're obviously very happy about. And we also have customers that have been waiting for the R2 release because of various reasons. The R2 release, the release 2 I should say, we trust have made it even more relevant and compelling to move to the latest release of Faxination, and we've incorporated some of the feedback that we received from our enterprise customers also at the Faxination 2016 launch last year. And those are, for instance, around the consolidation architecture, for instance, and you've seen them here, and they were also in the mailing that we sent out to you, so I won't repeat everything. What we've done with all the different questions we have, we kind of put them into specific topics, and we're going through the questions in logical combinations, and we'll do our best to do that in a way, yeah, to give you the heads up on how you can move forward. The 4 topics that we thought were relevant to most of the questions that were received is, first of all, just generically about the upgrade or the migration itself, then specifically around Office 365, also specifically about the MFP integration or connectivity, and last but not least around consolidation. I think most of the questions are actually on the first topic. So that will take probably most of the time today. And let's start with those first questions. And we haven't rehearsed this or made anything up front, so it will be interactive, and make sure to yeah, have any additional things you would like us to touch on, put that in the control panel, and we'll check on that. So first, we had a couple of questions that came basically down to the same topic around what's the difference between an upgrade and a migration, how easy is it actually to upgrade, and is there a difference in how an upgrade is done depending on the version I have. Guys, who wants to take that one first?
I'll go. We would define an upgrade as actually upgrading from 2013 to 2016, where you can go through the upgrade process and it's basically an in-place upgrade. That's what we consider an upgrade. We would consider a migration when you're on a version that's previous to 2013. So if you're on 2008, 2010, we say that has to be migrated. And the reason for that is 2013 was our first 64-bit product, and obviously 2016 is 64-bit, so you can do an in-place upgrade between the two products. However, if you're moving from 2008 or 2010, then it would be a complete new install. So we consider that a migration.
Okay, makes perfect sense. We had some additional materials to kind of put that in an overview for you. So the previous installations of Faxination with a 64-bit code were these three releases, 2013, the 2013 R2 and the 2016. What we seen actually that the way you upgrade there is really simple. This is one of our Faxination customers that did the upgrade the other day, and he said it was actually really easy, just next, finish. So how hard can it be? If you don't have this release, actually the installer will give you a notice. And I hope I took the right screenshots for this, but it basically says, you know what, we noticed that you're on a different architecture or on another version that we can immediately update to, so you need to do a complete install.
So at that place you cannot do the in-place upgrade. You would have to do a complete install.
Yeah, okay. Anyone, anything to add to that? Ian, I think that's it, right? So what happened at the next question? Is there anything you want to add? No? Okay. What happens to my text board when I upgrade?
You upgrade to 2016 R2, your fax port still remain in the server as long as, of course, it's 2008 R2 and above. I can't think of any other reasons why anything else that, you know, as far as like your fax ports would not function with the 2016 R2. I mean, I can't think of anything.
The fax boards will function with 2016 R2. What will happen if you're doing an in-place upgrade is the fax board is a new SDK from Dialogic, so the Dialogic SDK will be upgraded.
Right.
Coming from older versions, 2008 or 2010, you will want to check the support for the board. Is the board still in support? Because we have a couple of customers that are doing migrations, and coming from these older versions, the boards are really old and out of support, even with the new SDK. So yeah, if you upgrade in place from 2013, you'll just get a new SDK. If you have an older version, which means you'll be doing a migration, then you want to check to see if your boards are still supported.
Incompatible.
Yeah.
Okay, Ian's having a problem with the audio. Yeah. Don't really know how to get away with this.
Can you push your Microsoft button and then see if you can right click and close it?
Yeah, there we go. We're back. Okay. Yeah, you still hear us again?
I can hear you, but as soon as I unmute, it gets really muddy.
Yeah, there's some disturbance from your audio on the. So if I'd leave you open. If there's anything you want to contribute, just open your microphone and then you can talk. But there's some disturbance on the line when you open up.
Okay.
So we have to deal with that. There's no way around it at this point. Okay. Oh, I go back one more. I went too fast. I think that was it for the fax boards, right? To cover that. So what's the different FoIP stacks and their requirements? I think it goes down to if you want to move away from fax boards, and specifically in those environments where you already went to VoIP for voice, you would also like to move away from the fax boards, basically, I guess, and go to VoIP. There are different options?
Yeah, so if you're looking to get rid of the boards or to virtualized, then you want to move to a fax over IP stack. So we offer 3 different stacks available.
Yeah, I'll put them up because we put them in an overview.
And there are some differences. With the Faxination FoIP, we only do SIP and T38. We do not do G711 pass-through, and we do not do H323. The Dialogic Brooktrot SR140 does SIP T38, H323, and the pass-through, as well as XCAPI. XCAPI, you can do SIP T38, H23, and the pass-through. So one big thing you want to look for is the configuration of your gateways, and if you have multiple gateways. Because with the Faxination FoIP, it is the only one that can connect to multiple gateways simultaneously. Brooktrot SR140 and XCAPI, you cannot. You would have to have another device. You can connect to multiple gateways with the SR140. However, they're for backup only. Only if the primary gateway is down, then it will recover to a secondary gateway. But you can't have one device connected to multiple gateways simultaneously. So if you do need that feature, then you want to go with Fenestre Faxination FoIP. However, be aware we only do the SIP and T38. There will be no H323, nor will there be G711 pass-through. If you need G711 or H323, and you have to connect to multiple gateways, then you'll have to have more than one device with the XCAPI or the Brooktrot SR140. So keep that in mind.
I think a clear answer. All right? Yeah? Anything to add to that? No? Okay. Then I think something that a lot of customers would like to make sure that their settings get transferred to the new server. How can I ensure that's being done is one of the questions we received.
Well, if it's an in-place upgrade, your settings will not change and they will transfer automatically. However,
it's easy, yeah.
Quite easy, like the other slide said.
Exactly.
Next, done. But if you're coming from 2008, 2010, and with a new install, there is no transferring of settings.
Pause the screen share.
Oh, okay.
So coming from 2008 to 2010, there will be no settings. You will have to take screenshots of your current environment and manually input them into the new install. Yeah, so there's no transfer functionality.
Okay.
Maybe coming out later on after 2016, there'll be some possibility to import settings between servers, but
always wait for improvements. Okay, good. Then I'll go to the next question. Let me quickly make sure that I can see it. I'm not sure what to do and where to start. Can I receive help in deciding which options are best for my business?
Well, if you want to upgrade to 2016 R2, then support is always available to log in and set and schedule to do an assessment to let you know exactly where to start, if you can upgrade your existing hardware or whether or not you need new hardware. And we can make recommendations as far as what's best for the business.
Okay. Let me quickly make sure that Ian can talk. Okay.
Thank you. That got me.
Is anything you want to add, or you just got back in, right?
No, I've actually been listening for a couple minutes, but no, Adrian pretty much hit it. If you get in contact with us, then we can help you assess what your current platform is, what it is that you need to be concerned about moving forward, how to back up the important data, and how to make sure that you're getting exactly what you need installed. So. Yeah.
Okay, and we actually have that special offer now during the summer period where we can help you even and make it even more attractive than normal, that we either do the upgrade for you or we can help you with a free assessment, and we offer you 4 hours free of charge to do that, and actually that's something you definitely want to benefit from during the month of July.
And let me just chime in. We've done several 2016 from 2013 to 2016 R2 upgrades, and it's fairly easy. I have not ran into any issues as of yet.
That's always good to know. Okay, then the next question is around, well, I think a lot of customers recognize this, that they want to go to a new version of Windows. Does that require also an upgrade from Faxination, or are they kind of forced to do it?
Yeah, depending. If you're going to Windows Server 2016, then the only option you have is Faxination 2016. I believe we have a matrix coming up.
Yeah, we have a matrix. Let me pull it up. Yeah, here you go. So we prepare something.
Correct. So Windows Server 2012, you can use Faxination 13 or Faxination 2016. The bare minimum will be 2008 R2. So 64-bit only. And then you're forced to use 2013 or 2016. The releases, the R2s, the service packs, we don't care. 2008, you have to use 2013. 2012, you can use either or. And if you're using 2016 server, then you have to use Faxination 2016. So to answer the question, the only time the Windows version matters if you upgrade Windows versions is if you want to use Windows Server 2016, you have to use Faxination 2016.
Yeah, and I guess that's also related to the support you're going to get on from Microsoft itself, if something is still continued, but also maybe the fax ports that you're using. Is that impacting?
Well, really, it's no, it's on our certification and to make sure that we're up to snuff.
Yeah.
With the latest. So when we're normally led by Microsoft. When Microsoft comes out with a new product, then that's when we have to go to work and kind of get up to date.
Yeah.
So Faxination 2016 is certified for Windows Server 2016.
Exactly. Okay. Then the next one around document conversion. Yeah, what are my options with document conversion, and especially noting the situation where installing Office on the server is no longer supported. We had quite a few of those requests recently.
Yeah, for document conversion, for Office, we normally we recommend OpenOffice, and for PDF, we recommend GhostScript.
Okay, pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Yeah. And for what I know, but I have to confirm, I believe if you want to convert bitmaps and JPEG, you have to have the document conversion service.
Yeah.
Fenestrate document conversion.
Fenestrate document conversion service.
Yeah.
Okay. Then that was actually the last one, the last question for this specific topic. As you remember, we had 4 different topics, and this is the momentum where I'm going to check if there are any additional questions from you guys on the things we discussed. So let me quickly check on that. Nope, there's nothing. Then we're going to move to the next topic. Let me quickly also check the chats. No, that's fine. Okay. Let me then move to the next topic, which is the Office 365 topic. A lot of our customers obviously started using Faxination with Microsoft Exchange integration on-prem and are now planning to move to Office 365. How does this impact the Faxination implementation?
Well, there's no more Exchange connector.
This is shocking news, Fenton.
If you move into Office 365, then you'll have to move to the SMTP stack. You cannot use the Exchange connector. The Exchange connector uses a foreign connector within Exchange to identify a custom address space, which is normally fax. So your users type in bracket fax : However, if you are on Office 365, Office 365 will not recognize any custom address spaces. So using the Exchange connector is now out of the question for Office 365. You have to move to the SMTP stack.
which is a separate.
Actually, it's part of the kernel, but you can think of it as another host. Even though it's officially not a host, it's part of the kernel.
Okay. And are there any pros and cons of SMTP then?
From our standpoint, no. We still process the message pretty much in the same way. You can still manage the users and assign cover sheets and permissions. That is all the same. You can still convert the same documents. The technology behind it is a little different for the admin to set up, but as far as the end result, I can't see any pros or cons. You still get the fax, you still get your notification.
Exactly.
I think it's probably, actually I think it's easier, but
easier. I think that's
my
a pro.
personal opinion.
Yeah, that's always personal, right? Next question on this topic, is there a difference for the end user in sending from on-prem Exchange versus Office 365? So
the difference would be exactly what Fenton mentioned earlier, the way that the users are sending the fax, where Exchange it was open bracket, fax colon, fax number, close bracket. And now when you go to Office 365, you have your domain such as fax.mycompany.com. So now users in Outlook are putting in the fax number and including that domain at fax.mycompanyname.com. And then we see that, strip the domain, and we send it out just like a regular fax as if it was coming from Exchange.
Okay. Yeah, and I think the next question kind of elaborates on that then. Does it impact my address book?
Well, the only impact that we see is the way your contacts are configured in address book. So going back to Exchange, you may have had a contact where you said his fax number was open bracket, fax colon, fax number, close bracket. Now, being that you're on Office 365, you have to update so that way when he sends a fax, it's to fax number at domain.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty easy actually. Yeah. Okay. I think already the last question around Office 365. Does it impact the Active Directory?
No, you can still use Active Directory to manage users. We offer two ways to manage users, via the database or Active Directory. I think most people who use Exchange Connector use Active Directory. But the ability to store the users in the database has always been there. Once you move to Office 365, you can still connect to domain controllers for lookups. Yeah, so no.
Okay, so actually there's nothing in the way that would, with a migration to R2.
Management is still the same,
yeah.
User management is still the same, it's okay.
Yeah, okay. So it's good to do it all then. It's the last question on Office 365. Quickly check if there are additional questions from the attendees. Nope, nothing. So let's then move on to the MFP integration. Well, first of all, I think there's some, not everyone understands what the MFP connector actually does, or what the business benefit is, and how can we move away from dedicated fax lines. It's not entirely a technical question maybe, but I think the MFP Connect, a lot of our customers have an MFP, they have a fax line that goes into the MFP.
Yeah. So currently the MFP connector will eliminate, if you already have a fax server, a Faxination server in your environment, and you still have users that are sending faxes from the MFP, you can eliminate that process and get rid of those lines and just install the MFP connector to where now everything routing to the MFP is going through Faxination and out to those lines.
Yeah.
And one of the advantages to that is that not only can you set up your MFP to be able to send messages, you can also set it up to receive messages. So inbound faxes can print there. But one of the key benefits is that if you're using the MFP to send messages outbound, that means that everything you send is going to be stored on the fax server in a central repository, so you can have an easily accessible record of anything and everything that went through that MFP.
Excellent. And how does it work then with the notifications?
You can actually configure the MFP connector to send notifications just back to the printer itself, just a printed receipt that says, hey, we were able to send this, or you can map it so that it goes to an email address or that it goes to any host that we offer. So you can basically reroute notifications to go anywhere you want and still be able to utilize the MFP as essentially a fax device.
Okay, sounds excellent. Is there a question?
From Paolo.
What about end users that have solved fax numbers or saved fax numbers in Outlook contacts?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. That's what we were saying, Paulo. They would have to be changed because it's no longer that fax is going to be. Yeah, when they see the number, the address behind it is the open bracket fax, which that's not going to work any longer. It'll have to be updated.
Yeah. So that's something to make sure it's part of your migration process, and that's being one of the steps you need to take. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that answers your question, Paolo. Next on the MFP connector, how does it actually work and how can I connect it with Faxination?
Actually through a shared repository that you set up on the MFP. There'll be a shared folder, and we receive the files from that folder. Once the files are received, we pick it up, we do the lookup and apply any of the cover sheets, permissions, etc. So it's just a drop. We pick it up from a drop folder, really, but I think it's called a shared repository.
It's like a fax repository.
In MFP talk.
Right, in the MFP, yeah. So when you're on the MFP, you can configure your fax repository to say when somebody wants to fax, it sends it to a specific shared folder, which the MFP connector on a Faxination server is monitoring. And once we see it, we pick it up and we use the information that we strip from those files and send out your fax to that number. Say, this is a sender. So we pull all the metadata and information out that we receive from the MFP and send it out like a regular fax.
Okay, sounds like a cool integration.
SMB protocol. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. There was another question from Paolo around the other
Paolo.
impact it may have on the scan string.
You're talking for SMTP, right? Yeah, you can still use your SMTP scan strings.
Okay. And the cover sheets, and I think we need to repeat the question maybe for other people in the in the webinar. So is it the scan string of the possibility to change cover, display names, etc. still valid? And you say basically yes.
Yeah, Paulo, same. You use your same scan strings. They'll apply.
Okay, that was actually it for this part. I'm wondering if we would need to open up the discussion with Paolo, or shall we wait and keep that for the end? If there's more that we need to talk about, we can unmute. Okay, so let's keep going, Paolo, with your questions. I think that's only good. The next topic we have is around consolidation. Sorry, I think it's already the last one, isn't it? What are the pros and cons of consolidation?
Less infrastructure.
What?
Oh, go ahead, Ian.
Yeah, no, I was actually, I don't know the pros and cons is even the way to say it. I mean, the whole point of consolidation is, as Fenton was saying, it's less infrastructure, less overhead for your hardware. It allows you to virtualize everything and take what might have been a complicated multi-server environment and drop it down to just one or two servers that can manage everything.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest cons as far as consolidation goes, when we're talking about typical consolidation, usually it's companies investing in making everything virtual, virtual servers, Hyper-V, whatever it might be. And that does present challenges if you are still working with hardware devices like Brooktrout TR1034s, because any kind of physical hardware device is still going to require a physical server. But that becomes less of an issue when you're talking about the various FoIP stacks that are offered with the product.
Okay, I think actually on the voice part, or sorry, the fax board part, there's more questions later, but I think the next question, if I get rid of my servers, so the local servers, how can I continue to send faxes locally, which is probably the same as you mentioned. Can I maintain my current local fax numbers, for instance?
Yeah, so normally if you have, let's say, a server here in the Netherlands and maybe a server in my office in the U.S., and you consolidate to, say, a central server in the Netherlands, we can still keep our local numbers in the U.S. by using a remote fax device. So the kernel, the central brain of the fax service system will be here in Holland, and I'll just have a device in my office in the U.S. that will connect to my PBX or my gateway, and that way the charge is still local, my numbers don't change, anything like that. So the short answer is the use of remote devices will allow me to send faxes locally.
Exactly. Yeah, we have some images to kind of explain that a little bit. So this is the situation of a customer that had all the distributed locations with local servers, and basically they brought it down to 3 locations, and then the green dots here on the image are where they have the distributed fax.
So your big blue device are your kernel servers, and then your greens are remote devices in each little, I guess we call it region or area, and they're still allowed to have their local fax numbers.
Yeah.
So they went from a lot of servers to 3.
And they're coming back to Ian's answer to the first question on this topic. Basically, that's where you see your cost savings, basically, and also your control without losing the local presence, basically. Do we still need a physical server then when running R2?
No, only like Ian said, unless you have a physical fax board, you do not need a physical server. I mean, that's been the way for a minute now that we've been supporting virtual environments for a couple of releases now. So the only reason you would have a physical server is if you still needed that fax card.
Exactly.
That physical card.
So basically we're saying consider moving away from it.
Yes.
Because that's the way to go.
That's the way it's going.
Yeah. Another, I think also an important asset of the 2016 release, and especially R2 release, about the queue changes. A lot of our customers heard about it, but what is exactly different? Can you explain that?
In previous versions, the queue consisted of 3 files: admin, whole, and q.q. Each one had a different job to do. Q.q would be the job records that are actually in the queue. Admin would tell the kernel all the devices that are in the environment, and I'm really not sure, never looked in the whole myself. But long story short is we no longer use a file system for those 3 files. They have been moved to SQL. So it's a lot more robust. We had issues in the past where if people lost network connections to the queue, those files, since it was file-based, those files may become corrupt and unusable. So we took that system, the same concept, but we just moved it and housed it within the SQL server, which of course is high transaction. So it should always be available, and even when it's not, it should not be any corruption. That's what SQL does. High availability transactions. So the queue is now contained within SQL. The TIFF files, the text files from the SMSs are still in the output folder. It's just that the queue information that were housed in the 3 files are now housed in SQL. And I think that should make sense if you've ever experienced any queue issues. If not, we could talk more about that later, because that is a big difference. That is the reason to move to 2016 R2 is because of the queue. That is the number one driver.
Yeah. Okay. We have a question. In an NLB installation, the queue rule must be on the kernel. No information on documentation. What's new? So it's actually a tip, basically, then to make sure that we document that.
Yeah, I think there is some, Paul. I'll try to get you. Yeah, I'll look. There should be some documentation, but yeah, the queue it runs on each kernel now. That's true. The service itself. Where before, if you had a NLB environment with a remote queue.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So it's a question. It's a consideration put it in. Yeah. It's not documented. That's basically what Paolo's saying. It's not documented, and you need to be aware of it. That it.
Oh, well, it should be somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It should be.
I think it's a good point and something that we need to note. Maybe also for the assessment, an important thing to make sure that's being covered in an assessment, for instance.
Okay.
So, okay. Thank you very much for that. Let's see what the next question is. Move to the next one. How do I manage the system? I think this is basically what we see from customers that consolidate and still want to make sure that there are different levels of control in managing the system locally versus centrally, I guess.
The management portal is starting to take over from the GUI interface. So eventually, the GUI interface will leave, and it would all be done via the management portal. So now in R2, you find the management portal has been upgraded, and that's where you're going to start doing your management. For you can do it all for users, outbound service routing.
And you can create groups as well, as far as like who you want to give permissions to do certain things as well in the management portal.
Yeah, that's the new management portal.
Yeah, put some screens up and some things you touched on the not just an overview and the different accounts and the groups settings, and then this was what you wanted to mention, like the different roles, right?
Yeah, the different.
Well, yeah, that's actually where you configure your Active Directory.
Yeah, maybe I took the wrong.
Oh, the security groups. No.
Okay.
So the security groups have been expanded in case you have users not users, but administrators that you want only to have limited access to the fax server and not be able to change anything. So now you can create different security groups and kind of distribute who has access to what as far as managing the fax server. Where in the past, back when it was all GUI, you had to have all the admin rights or you couldn't manage anything. Now it's getting a little more flexible where you can start doing people who can only read only view things, make only certain changes, to higher ups administrators that can change anything. So yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along well.
Okay. And it looks nice, works well. Last question actually for today. Do you have any best practices or tips that you can share in preparing for an upgrade or a migration, I guess?
If you're upgrading in place, of course, always have your backups, backup your SQL database, just to be on the safe side. Know your settings, just in case by chance anything happens, but it's pretty easy. You should be good to go. If you're migrating, then you definitely need to have screenshots of everything, of all your configurations. This is before you decommission the server. If you have a Brook Trout card, you definitely want to go into the Brook Trout GUI and know how your lines are configured.
Take screenshots.
Take screenshots. Mm-hmm. Just have that information available.
That's a good tip,
ready.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and if you have any questions about anything, call these guys because they are the experts and they've done it a few times already, know how to do things. So don't hesitate to make sure to validate something with them or get their help. I think that was the last question for today. There's nothing in the question screen. Okay. So the last, well, maybe also some advice tying into the last question is, where do you get your information? On the support portal, obviously, log in there. There's a resource center, and there the Faxination R2 guides. Everything has been updated. The getting started administrator, different architecture connector guides. So that's something that you can use. Obviously, we also have the leaflets, but they may be not technical enough for you, but just make you aware that there's a what's new, and the FoIP and consolidation leaflets are out there on the website. And you know, the Global Service Center, you know, these guys are doing a really great job in supporting our customers. So get connected with them and make sure to make benefit of this special promotion that we're doing now for the migration and upgrade services during the month of July. Quickly check if there are no more questions. No? Well, we can keep the line open for a couple of more minutes, just in case you may have questions. If not, thank you very much for your attention. We hope it was worthwhile. Do share your feedback, and we look forward to see you all running on Faxination 2016 R2.